Okay, so let's just dive right in. When I say the word tarot, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably a crystal ball, right? A dark room, maybe someone predicting some kind of mysterious, far off future. But what if that's not what it's about at all? What if tarot isn't about seeing the future, but it's really a map for understanding where you are right now?
And that right there, that's the huge shift we're talking about today. The real power of tarot isn't about predicting what's going to happen to you. It's about revealing what's happening inside of you. This isn't fortune telling. It's about projecting your own inner world onto these symbols so that you can finally see it clearly. So, how on earth does that work? Well, we're going to look at tarot as a kind of structured mirror. Think of it as a psychological tool that helps us get in touch with parts of ourselves that our logical, everyday minds just tend to gloss over.
The core idea here is something called psychological projection. It's the exact same principle behind things like the Rorschach ink blot tests or even some forms of therapy. You see, when you look at a symbolic image, your brain just can't help itself. It starts to project its own stuff, its own hopes, fears, and internal conflicts right onto that image. Tarot is just a really well-designed system of symbols that helps us do that with incredible precision.
And what's so powerful about this is why these images work so well. I love this quote because it's so true. Our subconscious mind, the deep part of us, it doesn't talk in spreadsheets and bullet points. It speaks a language of symbols, of metaphors, of images. And that's exactly why a visual system like tarot can sneak past our rational brain and start a direct conversation with our deeper self.
So, what is this symbolic language actually made of? Well, let's get into the building blocks of this entire system, the archetypes.
Now, first things first, tarot did not invent archetypes, not even close. These are ancient, fundamental patterns of the human experience that we all instantly recognize. You know, like the hero on a quest, the nurturing mother, or the controlling tyrant. These patterns pop up in our myths, our fairy tales, our dreams, across every single culture and every period of history. They're kind of like the pre-installed software we use to make sense of the world.
And this timeline just lays it out so perfectly. Look, first, for thousands of years, we have human experience, which gives us myths and symbols. Then, in the 15th century, tarot comes along as one way to give these symbols a visual structure. It wasn't until the 20th century that the psychiatrist Carl Jung came along and gave this a psychological name, calling it the collective unconscious. So you see, tarot isn't some strange fringe invention. It's part of this long, incredible tradition of humans trying to understand ourselves.
And this is where it all clicks. This brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. If tarot and psychology are just different maps of the exact same territory, what does that map actually show us? Well, it charts the path of human development, the journey to becoming a whole integrated person.
Just look at this. It's amazing. You've got these major psychological models, Jung's path to the self, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Erikson's life stages. They're all describing the same fundamental journey of human growth. And when you lay the tarot's major arcana right alongside them, you realize it's a parallel, visual map of that exact same process. So the big takeaway here is that you don't have to believe in tarot to find it useful. You can just see it as a visual guide to a journey of self-discovery that psychologists have been mapping for a century.
Now, this journey isn't just a random jumble of pictures, not at all. It follows a very structured path. The 22 cards of the major arcana. They represent the big life lessons, the major milestones, and they lay this path out for us. So let's walk through a few of the most critical stages on this map.
So the journey really starts to get deep in this inner work phase. You've got cards like the Hermit telling us to look within, and the Hanged Man forcing us to completely flip our perspective. Then comes the part most of us try to avoid, right? Confronting our shadow. The Devil card represents our unhealthy attachments. And then the Tower, well, the Tower signifies that necessary, sometimes painful collapse of old beliefs about ourselves that just aren't working anymore. But, and this is so important, that collapse is not the end. If we can face that crisis, we move toward integration, finding new hope with the star, clarity with the sun, and finally a sense of wholeness with the world. Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful psychological map. Now what? How do we actually use it for our own growth? Well, it all comes down to learning how to ask much, much better questions. This right here is the whole game changer. Instead of asking a passive, fortune-telling question like, what's going to happen to me? We learn to ask an active, introspective question. What part of me is asking to be seen right now? This one little shift moves the power from some external, mysterious fate right back into your own hands.
Let's use the Tower card as an example, because it looks terrifying. The old question would be, oh no, what terrible thing is about to collapse? But the new, empowered question is, okay, what structure in my life, a belief, a job, a relationship, am I holding on to that is no longer true for me? And just like that, the card isn't a threat anymore. It's an invitation to take charge and finally let go of what's already broken.
And this is the bottom line, the key distinction. A healthy use of a tool like this always increases your personal autonomy. It helps you reflect, name what you're feeling, and understand what's going on inside. An unhealthy use does the exact opposite. It makes you dependent, it encourages you to hand over responsibility, and it just feeds fear. The whole goal is to become more of your own authority, not less. This just says it all, doesn't it? The point isn't to believe in some kind of magic. The point is to use a structured tool for self-inquiry because it works. And it works because our own minds respond to symbols in a way that's often more honest than how we respond to direct advice. So let's bring all this home. Whether you use tarot or journaling or therapy or just quiet reflection, the journey underneath is always the same. It's the path to knowing yourself, which is ultimately the path to healing yourself. At the end of the day, tools like this are not meant to give you answers from some outside source. They're designed to help you access your own inner wisdom, your own authority. The goal isn't to blindly follow a map someone else drew, but to hold up this universal map of the human journey and have the courage to ask, okay, where am I on this thing right now?
So I'll leave you with this, an invitation to just be a little more open, to look inside yourself and see what your needs really are. Because real healing and real growth, they start the moment we stop looking outside for predictions and instead start asking the right questions inside. So what is the one question that your journey needs you to ask right now?